Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 21st edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by my fellow Hans Zimmer appreciator, Jaden.
Hello.
And PTA's number one fanboy, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hi.
We're really feeling this one today. I sense a good show coming up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the most exciting podcast on the internet where we review and talk about a different movie every single week. The show posts every Monday. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Subscribe, rate us, follow us, tell your friends, grow the show. We can do that with your contributions. So thanks in advance. And stuff you if you don't. So, do that. Remember to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews for next week's film in the comment section of the YouTube video. You can submit anything there. We'll read them at the end of next week's show. But we have our specific question of the week to ask you. And we want you to answer this very simple question. What's your favourite original song in a film? Let us know the answers. I don't know what the hell I'll say for that, but there are some good options, I guess. So let us know. This week we're talking about a little film called Fargo. And I'll get straight into the data dump for you. So Fargo opened in the US on the 5th of April 1996. It was directed by Joel Coen, but of course Ethan Coen as well, who's uncredited. Do either of you guys know why? Is that another Academy thing?
I'm not sure for this one. I thought that Joel just hemmed it on his own. I didn't realize that Ethan was uncredited.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've got no idea why he's uncredited then. But they both get writing credits, so yeah, who knows? Ethan Coen and Joel Coen wrote it. The cinematography was by Roger Deakins, who's now appeared multiple times in our films, and thus Roger Deakins can be a friend of the show, a friend of Cinema Effect. Good for him. You know, he's up there with an upper class of incredible filmmakers like David Webb Peoples. So good for him. And I mean, he deserves to be there, you know. David Webb Peoples, he's like, don't know if we need him in there, but anyway, he's in there. The film stars William H. Macey, Frances McDormand, and Steve Buscemi. The film won at the Academy Awards in 1997, Best Lead Actress for Frances McDormand and Best Screenplay for the Coen brothers. It had a budget of $7 million and a worldwide box office of $61 million, so a very profitable film on our hands here. The genre is a crime thriller. It had a runtime of 1 hour and 38 minutes, just breezes by, and the synopsis is... I have to say, I don't really like the synopsis very much, but Jerry Lundegaard's inept crime falls apart due to his and his henchmen's bungling and the persistent police work of the quite pregnant Marge Gunderson. Why the fact that she's quite pregnant has to be in the synopsis written like that? Kind of random. Kind of weird. But anyway. Fargo. Jane, you hadn't seen it before. What was your reaction to it?
I don't know. 'Cause I feel kind of weird about it because, like, I liked it and, like, you know, I enjoyed watching it and, like, it was good, but, like, for some reason I couldn't connect with it fully. Like, you know, there was something that was holding me back from actually, like, getting wholly invested into it, you know? And I'm not sure what that is, but, yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. I kind of feel that too a little bit, but you'd seen it before, Fitzy. I hadn't. What was your rewatch reaction?
Yeah, I think it's pretty great. Very clever, you know, dialogue and
Oh yeah.
it's just very well paced and has, you know, good characters and stuff.
Yeah. The most standout aspect of this entire thing to me is the fact that it is a comedy. Really, it's such an interesting sense of humor that this movie has. It was quite bizarre. I didn't know it was a comedy at all until you guys said it at the end of last week's show, and that was like kind of like a spoiler to me a little bit, I guess, if I'm being over the top about it. But then, even still, like knowing it was a comedy. Like the nature of the comedy still surprised me when I was watching it. It somehow, no matter what expectation I had of it, it somehow still managed to surprise that expectation or subvert it, I guess. So that was interesting. I really liked the movie too. I think the humor and the performances and the script really are the standout elements of what make it work. I agree with you. I don't know if I could fully 100% click with it either, Jaden. And I think if I have to select one element of why, I think it might be the ending. And and just the way it kind of wraps up. Because first act, I was all in. I thought this was great. I was enjoying the hell out of it. I was fully invested. So I feel like that might be it, but we'll get into that. I don't know. But did this kind of comedy surprise you like it did me, Jaden? Because I don't know if I've seen another movie that has humor like this explicitly.
No, not really. I mean, like, because I know the Coen brothers are pretty famous for having that, a bit obscure kind of comedy. I mean, like, I've seen Burn After Reading, and I've seen part of Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Oh, okay.
And, knowing that they direct, that Joel directed The Big Lebowski and like stuff like that, I knew that there was this element of comedy in there. So, and like that's a comedy, it was like, what I was expecting. So that wasn't exactly shocking to me. So
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I've only ever seen only Coen Brothers movie I've seen is what's it called? Bloody No Country for Old Men. So yeah, I have no expectation for their style of comedy. Okay, so it's interesting they've known for this. Okay, cool. Is the comedy the standout element for you guys? Because I don't know, like the story, like it's fine. I like the characters, but at the end of the day, it's kind of a pretty straightforward story, which isn't a bad thing at all. But I don't know. I feel like the comedy is this film's defining feature. Do you guys disagree, or is that the consensus? I don't know.
I think the comedy is important into elevating the film to what it is, because of it's such a stark contrast to, what we get on screen about, this tale of like, a botched, crime going wrong, and like it gets pretty dark at some point. So like having the comedy to balance it out, it definitely helps and elevates the film. And I'm not sure if it's a standout, but it definitely is important.
Okay. Does the comedy vibe with you, Fitzy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I like some parts better than others. Like I think Steve Buscemi is like one of the best parts of the movie, I guess.
Yeah, he's great. I like all of the comedic performances from the and the comedic timing from the three main leads. I mean, Steve Buscemi, obviously, I've got trivia here that that role was specifically written for him, and you can tell, and that's great, and he fits into that character perfectly. But William H. Macy was a standout for me. I've never seen him in a movie in my life, but like within the first, I don't know, like that first scene with him even, and his performance and the argument he has about Steve Buscemi about when they were meant to arrive and how he's late and all this. It was just he kind of captured my attention immediately with his accent and the voice he was doing, and I thought his performance was really, really good. Just this guy's clearly in over his head. He's got no idea what he's doing, and he's trying to do this sneaky shit. But as the synopsis says, he's just inept at it, and I thought that whole thing was really funny. And the same goes for Frances McDormand as well. The fact that these police officers who seem so disconnected and so strange, but I mean, she's good at her job, I guess, like objectively. She gets the case solved pretty snugly due to some luck. But I found the whole bit funny where they go to the crime scene and they find the bodies, and it's her and her mate there, and they're just looking around doing their police work, and how they don't really give a shit. They're just like walking around going, oh yeah, like they always say, it's just the accents, isn't it? I don't know, the mannerisms of these actors and the performances. I think it's so good about how they just don't give a shit. I think it's so funny.
I was just gonna say one thing I wasn't ready for was a North Dakota accent, because like to me, like North Dakota is it's kind of in mid America, so I was expecting. I mean, it's Northern America, obviously, but I was expecting a bit more, like a bit, a bit more traditional. But like, listening to it and hearing it, like that shocked me. Yeah,
I tried to explain it just before I failed miserably, but yeah, like the Minnesotan whatever, like the stuff they do and the mannerisms. Yeah, it's so funny. It needs to be seen to be appreciated, really, or heard rather, I guess. So funny. They all go, oh yeah, all the time, and
oh yeah,
yeah. Thank you. You nailed it. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it was so funny, and no one really seems to. They're all just so carefree and just like everything's super chill, except for Steve Buscemi. Shit doesn't really go well for him, but everyone else is super chill. In the police department, and I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, William H. Macy plays a kind of similar character in Magnolia and Boogie Nights, and yeah, it's just like super well cast in that
Oh,
way.
awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely. He just, yeah. Oh, I had some trivia here as well, about how I won't raise it explicitly. You'll get the gist, but it's just that he became convinced that he was perfect for the role, and the Coen brothers kind of weren't convinced apparently, and how he basically like made them sit and he auditioned and everything. But I couldn't imagine anyone else in that role. He was terrific. He was the standout for me in the movie just because, as someone who's never seen him in a movie before, I was just blown away by him. Like Steve Buscemi, obviously great, but I know Steve Buscemi. I know what he's going to deliver. Same goes for Frances McDormand. She's great, obviously. So he was just kind of a total knockout surprise for me, especially with how unique his personality is in the movie. But the fact that he plays similar characters in those movies, that makes me excited to see them too.
I don't really like the quiet character, but I guess you're not supposed to like him. But I guess he was well cast as well.
All I could think about when I saw him was because he plays the Doctor in Until Dawn. So like every time he was on screen, I was like, good old Peter.
Oh, that's a good shout. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about him actually. I guess he kind of worked. He worked fine in that role. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to judge him too badly. He didn't really have many lines, which is obviously the point. But I guess this is more a credit to Steve Buscemi. I just loved how he played off of him. Like the whole scene we're in the car and he's just like, "Oh, you want to sit in silence? Total silence. Total silence." Like, yeah, that was really funny. And that's really all on Steve. So I don't know how much credit I should give the other guy. But just the inclusion of the character in general, I think kind of elevates the movie as a result still. Do you have a favourite performance, Fitzy? Is it William H. Macy?
No, probably Buscemi, but
Right.
yeah. Do you think the movie is well paced? I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Um, it went really fast. Obviously, it's a pretty short runtime, and the humor just kept it rolling for sure. And the fact that I think the story kind of wraps up neatly and pretty straight in a straightforward way. But like as it's going though, as it's developing with everything that William H Macy's doing with his father-in-law, and the father-in-law wants to go and hand in the ransom himself, but obviously William H Macy doesn't want that to happen. I don't want to keep calling him William H Macy. What's his character's name again? Jerry, right? Yeah.
All right.
The fact that Jerry obviously doesn't want that to happen because the whole thing's a scam and he doesn't want to be exposed and wants to get the $1 million and all that. So there was some good tension there. I liked that. And the dynamic between, just how kind of over his head he is with it, and the fact that Frances McDormand keeps harassing him coming into his place of work and interviewing him and stuff. So there was some good tension there. I like that. But yeah, there are some inclusions in the movie that I think are interesting, and they don't derail the pacing, but I didn't dislike them necessarily, but I was kind of thinking, especially in retrospect, why was this in the movie? And I guess I'm specifically talking about the whole Bob character, and how there's this kind of subplot where Frances McDormand catches up with this high school friend of hers, goes out to dinner with him, and it's kind of this pretty extended scene. They have a conversation. It comes up a few more times, and it seems to be kind of a part of her character a little bit. I was just kind of confused by it. I don't know. I didn't dislike it. Do you guys see kind of a greater meaning behind the inclusion of that?
Fitzy, do you want to take this one or?
Yeah, greater meanings. Or go to Fitzy.
Nah, no, it's just because I read about it and I wasn't sure if Fitzy knew about it too.
Oh, okay.
So after that scene, and when she learns that he was lying about getting married and her dying and whatever, and like his partner dying, whatever. It's in the follow up where she's eating in a car, whatever, and there's kind of like a little like revelation on her face, and because she realizes that the same mannerisms that guy in the diner was displaying, Jerry was also displaying in the interview, and since that guy was lying, it kind of got into her head that maybe Jerry was lying as well, so that's why she goes back to the car dealership to interview him again. and that's why that scene was included.
Wow. Right. Oh wow. No, that's great. That's great. That's really clever then, actually, because because I was thinking that did seem like a random moment. It was a fine moment. And yeah, seeing this guy have a mental breakdown was kind of interesting. I guess it was kind of it was
I quite
random,
enjoyed that. I thought that was like
the-
that was quality. I thought that just the acting in that scene, the way
Yeah.
he like slowly like becomes more and more derailed.
Yeah, no, absolutely, the acting was good in that scene. But I guess without that explanation, I guess I just thought the plot points were pretty straightforward of what led her to just keep pursuing the case until she gets the tip off about the lake, goes to the lake, finds the guy, the end. But that does add a bit of extra dimension to it, where she actually figured out for herself based on that experience to go back to him. That makes sense, actually, because I wouldn't be able to tell you why else she would have gone back to him. So thanks for that. So with that aside, the pacing's really good. Then, case solved. What about you, Jane? Do you have a favourite character / performance, one or the other, or maybe they're the same?
I really like the stepfather Wade. I thought it was great because like it's kind of like a mix.
Oh yeah.
Because he's not really like the stepfather that hates his stepson, but like there's obviously like some kind of like a distrust or like some kind of unlike there's something between them, but it's not too extensive. So like when Jerry starts when he puts that plan forward, Wade's shown to respect him more, and so I really like that relationship, and I just like the character of Wade anyway, because like the way at the start, which is like I can't really describe it. I just thought he was a good character. I really enjoyed him.
Yeah, I enjoyed him too.
Yeah,
I really did as well, because he really is he's the main kind of obstacle that Jerry has to deal with for his plan to work. Obviously Steve Buscemi's kind of seems like a wild card, but nonetheless, like I think the plan's going pretty smoothly for him to get this ransom money up until that point when Wade's like stepping in, and obviously he's not going to give up his money that easily. Makes perfect sense. So no, I like that character too. Yeah, because you're right. He didn't hate him or anything. It was just kind of this weird submissiveness of his son-in-law, I guess. Son-in-law. Yeah. So I like that too. I do wish though that the son character, Jerry's son, he was fine. I felt like we spent a bit of time with him in the first act. I kind of felt like there could have been a stronger payoff there. Maybe I don't know what it would have been, but that felt like a bit of a missing link to me.
I thought so too, but I kind of just see his inclusion as like, because like in that scene where he's crying and he's like, are we going to get mum back or whatever? I think that's kind of like to drive home the fact that what Jerry's done isn't good, like at all. Because like obviously for the audience, where Jerry's our protagonist, we're kind of rooting for him, and we're kind of hoping for this deal to go smoothly and whatever. But in that scene, you like where he's like crying and like he's in distress, you kind of realize like it kind of strips the comedic element away from like what's happened so far, and you realize this is quite a terrible thing that's actually happened.
That's a great point. But yeah, because we as the audience are aware from the very beginning that the kidnapping of his wife is all planned, and it's for all intents and purposes seems pretty risk free. It doesn't turn out that way, but seems pretty straightforward of an idea of a scam. Jerry's cool with it, obviously, So yeah, you're right. There does seem this kind of inherent safeness to the whole event that's taking place, even though it should be inherently dangerous. So that character does actually kind of insert that reminder to the audience that this shit is still, risky and potentially dangerous, and is obviously harmful to someone. At least it ends up being very harmful to Wade up on the rooftop and Steve Buscemi's face as well. So
like I think it's objectively a pretty good movie, like in terms of just like the environment and like cast and pace and all that, but I never like feel the desire to like go back to it or rewatch it or anything, like it doesn't have like that much of an effect, I guess. Like I guess it's entertaining, but
I agree with that. It's definitely entertaining. I can see myself rewatching it for sure, just enjoying the characters and the dialogue. But do you think, because I do partially agree with you, do you think that comes from the ending at all for you a little bit?
I don't know.
I say that just because, to me, the ending felt a little neat. It felt like everything was just tied up in a bow pretty nicely. It didn't really leave me with anything to think about. Not that it has to, or didn't even really leave me with any emotion whatsoever. I was just kind of like, that was a pretty funny movie. I appreciated some of the tense moments, but now that was a nice little ribbon or a bow, wrapped over it right there. Do you agree with that?
Well, the last line or last thing, like the pregnant thing,
Mm.
which do we know at the start of the movie?
That she's pregnant.
Yeah.
That was never obvious to me until pretty late in the movie. They mention it. It comes up, like, I want to say sometime in the like later into the second act or at some point, and that was the first time I ever noticed that she was pregnant.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty clear from the start. I mean, like, her husband's insistence for her to eat, and, like, her reference to carrying heavy loads and her struggling to get down on the ground to look into the car. And the way she walks, she has that kind of pregnant walk to her as well. I mean, like, I thought that was pretty obvious.
No, that's really fair now that you say that. But I guess I was kind of all those different things you're talking about, I can recontextualize to mean something else because I just didn't like. So I need to take it so literally. I didn't physically see her pregnant belly, so therefore I was like not focused on that at all. But makes perfect sense. Did you? Are you with me, Fitzy, or am I dumb? Or is the answer yes to both?
Oh yeah, I didn't. Well, yeah, I didn't realize she was pregnant either. So I guess we're both dumb. But
Woo!
yeah, I was about to say like in the car, just the scene before the end where she's with the guy and she's like, I don't understand it or whatever. Like, in a way, I think the movie's trying to get at like the classic Coen Brothers theme of like randomness and all that. Like the Big Lebowski and like No Country and all that. Just like they do there. But I think it's like not as well like developed in this film. Like, I think because the pregnant plot is supposed to be like, she's worried about the world because she's having like a child, and I don't think that's really delved into that much.
No, I agree with you 100%. It does, because I had that weird thought too, where explicitly that scene where she's driving off in the police car with the silent dude, who knows what his name is, the silent guy, who murders Steve Buscemi, R.I.P. And yeah, exactly what you said. She says, like, I don't understand why you could be like this, how you could be so violent, is basically what she's saying. And it felt, I don't want to say tacked on, but it just felt a little like, yeah, the rest of the movie didn't really feel like it was building to this in any way. And I appreciate the sentiment, but it did feel like a bit of a random inclusion in this particular movie.
Yeah, it feels a bit like thematically incomplete to me.
Sure. Yeah, I see that. Because, yeah, that was one of the elements of the ending, that car scene that kind of left me thinking in that exact way you mentioned. The other one was actually the last scene, the very last lines, where she's sitting in bed with her husband, who's the killer from Zodiac. And
No, we don't know.
She says,
Where is he?
oh, right, okay, I'm sorry. Good point. But yes, he is. But we're doing, she says, we're doing good. And then, she says, oh, yeah, I've only got 2 more months of my pregnancy. And then cut to credits. Those lines were kind of delivered in the context of the scene to me with a bit of intention, with a bit of, maybe I'm projecting, but with a bit of, there felt like there was some meaning, there was some oomph behind those lines. And it went over my head. Do you, Fitzy, in-depth analysis, is there something to that scene, do you think?
Well,
Because I don't see it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't feel like they put enough weight behind that kind of idea of like randomness in this film, but like being worried about the state of the world and stuff. But
Yeah,
it doesn't. It just feels kind of underwhelming. The very end, yeah.
it does. I guess it could work in an interesting way with, like I mentioned, what's kind of played for comedy with how carefree these police officers are. So I guess that could kind of tie into the perception of the world that you're talking about maybe a little bit. but nonetheless, yeah, it feels a little hollow to me. So, okay, no, I asked just because I thought maybe it went over my head, but no, I'm with you. How do you respond to that, Jaden? Did you like the ending?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I didn't really think there was really meant to be any weight behind her final words. I do,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
I do understand how, like, yeah, why you guys say it like that, and it does make sense. But you know, I thought it was fitting to wrap up on her. I mean, she was the main character after all, you know, and I think I see yeah, I don't really see an issue. Like, I understand why you guys see it a bit underdeveloped in terms of, like, you know, that type of thing. But, like, I don't really think it needs any more development because I don't think it's too significant to the plot that it really requires it. But
yeah, God, I'm kind of torn in the middle there because, yeah, no, you're right. It doesn't really have any significance to the story that's actually occurring at all. But I guess it's just the fact that those scenes are there. It really does come down to the car scene, actually, the police arresting scene, right? That the fact that it's there at all, though, feels a little strange. You know, like they're clearly trying to inject some thematic purpose there,
yeah,
and the fact that, you know what I mean, the fact that then it does feel incomplete kind of does leave you with a weird feeling where if that scene wasn't that at all, then I would lean more towards what you're saying, Jaden. But it's not a big con for me at all.
they do it much better in No Country for Old Men. That idea. But,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
maybe the two films are linked. It's a shared universe.
Yes. Maybe. They kind of do share some
Yeah, Peter Stromae's character is kind of similar to Sugar. Yeah, they're brothers.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you are right. Yeah, and it's kind of, I feel like they kind of both. Oh, this is strange. I'm just thinking about this right now. They both kind of seem to present a similar world or nature of what the world is, I guess, but from different perspectives. With, I feel like, Frances McDormand's perspective from this movie, both police officers, coincidentally, the way that she goes about this kind of carefree nature, she doesn't understand the silent dude, but she seems pretty chill about it all compared to Tommy Lee Jones. I don't know, I feel like there's some weird comparisons you can make.
For sure.
What was our reaction to the opening title card that this is a true story, that these events did really occur and the names have been changed? Because I was taken aback by it. I was like, wait, what, really? And then it became pretty obvious. Didn't take too long for me to think, all right, I don't know about that. But Jan, as someone who hadn't seen it before, did you have a reaction to just that popping up on the screen, or is that a fact about the movie that you already knew?
No, I didn't know about that. I was reading up about it afterwards. Yeah. I think you're probably going to mention it, but
I will. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was a bit taken aback by it because I always thought that this was a Coen's brothers original story, which it kind of is. But yeah, so like seeing that at the start kind of shocked me a bit. But yeah, it's didn't really have too big of an effect on me. It's kind of the same way, you know, you see at the start of Texas Chainsaw, it's like, this is based on a true story. Well, I mean, how based is it, you know?
Really? Is that so? In that particular movie, is it a situation where it's very vaguely based on something that happened?
Yeah, it's based on like this, like one killing that kind of has like no similarities at all, but apart from the fact that like two people died or something like that. But you know, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. How did you feel about it, Fitzy? Like, I don't know. Well, you'd already seen it, so I don't know. You didn't have a raw reaction to it, but it's a strange inclusion to me.
Happens in the series as well.
Have you seen any of the show?
Yeah, I saw season 1 and 3 there. It's an anthology, so they do a different story every season.
Season 4's coming out soon, isn't it?
Okay, cool. It is.
Yeah.
Keen to get behind it because it's a good old.
I definitely want to check it out. Yeah.
The guy who did Legion, which you need to watch, Finny.
Oh no. I'm sure it's good. But before we to avoid Legion, so the trivia related to the true story elements, this stuff is all over the place, okay? At the end of the day, my end result with it all is that who really cares seems pretty random, but I'll read it because it's very interesting anyway. So the Coen brothers claimed that they based this script on an actual criminal event, which is obviously at the start of the film, like I mentioned, it comes up saying this is based on a true story, essentially. But they claim they wrote a fictional story around this true event. They say, we weren't interested in that kind of fidelity, said Joel Coen. The basic events are the same in the real case, but the characterizations are fully imagined, which makes perfect sense. It didn't take long for me to realize, I don't know if this Francis McDormand character actually exists, but if an audience believes that something's based on a real event, it gives you permission to do things they might otherwise not accept, is what Joel Coen said about him placing that at the start of the movie. Just a quick aside, I've got no idea what Joel Coen's talking about here. I could not disagree with him more. If an audience believes that something is based on a real event, it gives you permission to do things they might otherwise not accept. That is so strange to me. I'm the complete opposite. If something's based on a true story for me, it completely limits what I can accept as an audience viewer. If something strange happens in a movie that's based on a true story, apparently, then it makes me immediately question if it's based on a true story, which is literally exactly what happened while I was watching this movie. So I completely disagree with him. But anyway.
I do agree with him because, I mean, like, to boil it right down, it makes the outlandish aspects seem more real. For Finney, it had the exact opposite effect by making the outlandish aspects took you out of it and made you realize it's not real. But it's kind of meant to have the opposite effect, where you're kind of meant to take these in and it kind of elevates the story for the viewer in, like, you know, the fact that these are so crazy, but it actually happened type of thing, you know?
Yeah. Did it have that effect you just described for you, Jen?
Not really, because, like, seeing that title card come up, you always have to understand that, like, it's bullshit. I mean, like, there's so much artistic liberty taken when you're adapting a true story, especially, like, you know, when it comes to crime and horror and whatever. I mean, if it's a full-on biography, you know, fair enough, it's pretty accurate. But, like, when it comes to this genre, you need to understand how much shit's changed. So, like, it didn't really have that effect on me, but that's the effect it's intended to have.
Yeah. No, I totally see that. It's just that I disagree. Yeah, for me, it doesn't. No true story has that effect for me whatsoever. That stance that Joel Coen takes never works for me. And if I were a filmmaker, I would fundamentally disagree with that approach, I guess is what I'm saying. But yeah, no, that's the stance he took, so that's totally fine. But anyway, going off that, okay, the brothers have modified their explanation about if it's a true story or not multiple times. Basically, I've got a lot here, but in 1996, the film, like, people were speculating that it was based on this very specific case in Minnesota, except that they made changes to it's not in Minnesota, in real life, and they made slight changes. In this case, apparently, it really occurred in 1963, and there were similarities. So people were like, "Oh, it's based on this case," but then the Coens were like, "Oh, we've never heard of this person, so it's not based on that case, no." And so they shut that down, and then they say the story was completely made up. Or as we like to say, the only true thing about it is that it's a story. Okay. So now they're saying it's made up. Fair enough. The film's special edition DVD contains yet another account, thank Christ, that the film was inspired by another murder, a 1986 murder of this woman from Connecticut at the hands of her husband, who disposed of her body through a wood chipper. Okay, so the only similarity there is that there's a wood chipper. That's not really anything specific. So, you know, from what I just kind of terribly read out, I think you can kind of gather that they completely made it up and took very specific elements from some murders, like the wood chipper, like this other 1963 one. They probably just took some inspiration here and there or whatever, but they made this shit up, is the moral of the story. Nothing's true, to clarify. So yeah, I would assume that they would try and stick by that for so long that they would try and keep up the illusion that it's in some way based on a true story, just to kind of maybe add to the film's effect for some people. Like I said, it doesn't work for me, but maybe they felt to uphold their intentions, I guess, originally, back in the day when they made it, that they should kind of stand by the fact that it is real to some extent, up until 2015 when they just randomly decided, oh yeah, let's not keep up the act anymore.
At the end of the credits, it has like a little label saying it's a work of fiction anyway. So, I mean, if anyone was really that attentive and wanted to stay through all the way to the end, it tells you straight up, this is bullshit.
Oh, I did not know that. I love you could have just told me that and then I didn't have to read any of that. But no, regardless, I thought that was all pretty interesting. It was kind of bizarre delving into why they did that thing I guess that was meant to clearly influence the tone of the movie in some way. But yeah, case solved. They made that shit up.
I mean, I think it goes back to like a similar. It's meant to be a similar effect as to what the kid has in the film, and like, yeah, as a certain gravity to the situation, yeah, type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, there are some good gags in the movie that I appreciate. I already mentioned the total silence Steve Buscemi dialogue exchange. That was funny. I enjoyed that. There are some other ones. The fact that it's a running gag throughout the movie that everyone that the police interview about trying to find these suspects, everyone that has seen Steve Buscemi's character always describes him as funny looking, but can't go into any more detail. They just say, "Oh, he's just funny looking in a general kind of way." I thought that was so great because, I mean, let's be real, Steve Buscemi is pretty funny looking in a general kind of way. So I enjoyed that a lot. That was good. He's fleeing from the interview was a good line. I like that a lot. When she just can't believe that he just William H. Macy just walks out of the room and like drives away, and she just can't comprehend it. That was great. And another one, the DLR plates. That was good when the police officers who are really dumb but also seem to be pretty good at their job somehow at the same time. And the fact that he's like, "Oh, I can't find any plates registered under DLR in the state." That was good. When it's a dealer plate, get it. So I enjoyed that. Did you guys have any other moments like that? There are a few gags I liked.
I like when they say you darn tootin'. That's good.
That is good.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, I guess there's no specific moments, but just their accents and the how perfectly cast they are makes it pretty funny. Just Steve Buscemi's acting in every scene, I guess. His situation
Yeah.
kind of comedy.
Absolutely. I did not realize that people from Minnesota had these accents. So that fact alone to me, and just getting to hear them for an hour and 38 minutes or whatever it was, that was a joy. I enjoyed that a lot.
Do you know Ewan McGregor's in season 3 of Fargo?
I did.
TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's there's 2 of them. He plays twins.
Spoilers.
I mean, it's not a spoiler. But
do they have a Minnesotan accent in that show?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I love it. That has made it 10 times more appealing to me.
Absolutely. And Martin Freeman, he's in the first one.
Oh, he's great. Oh, cool. God. Is there anyone else? You're listing off some names here.
I think her name's Mary. Is it Mary Elizabeth Winstead? The one that plays.
Yeah.
She's in Sky High and.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Sky High. Wow.
Yeah. And
Banger.
that guy,
yeah.
What's that? Billy Bob.
This guy in Harry Potter. He's he's in the first one. And
yeah.
What's that professor in Harry Potter? He's like Lupin, I think.
Oh right. Okay. I don't know his name, but yeah, Lupin. Yeah.
The show is cast really well as well. It's pretty incredible how perfectly these characters fit their roles.
I'm really tempted to try the show out now.
Oh, and at the end of this movie, the money is still
yes, buried.
So they continue that in the show.
That's cool. That's really cool.
I've been holding off on that because I wanted to watch the film first before I started that. Like, I know you probably don't need to because it is, it is an individual property, but I think having the context of this film a bit. Like, did you watch the film and then watch the series, Fitzy?
Yeah, I think so.
And had you not seen the film before you watched the TV series, how do you think you would have felt about it? Would it have been pretty much the same, or?
It's honestly not that much context, really.
Right.
I think it's mainly just the suitcase.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like it'd be that necessary, but I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Jane. I feel like just it would give you a bit of context for what the showrunners and the people making the show are kind of basing their story off of, and that might give you a bit of insight. Kind of interesting.
And it's weird how, like, in season 1 and 3, there's like this one character who kind of there's this one character in each season who's kind of like this, like the embodiment of chaos kind of character that is in this movie and in like No Country. Like the quiet guy here and the Chico. So it's kind of like the same story.
Is it better? Is he better than the quiet guy?
Oh, in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're much more like much more of characters in the show for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I've got I got one bit of trivia left, I guess. Uh, the movie is called Fargo because the Coens thought it was a better title than Brainhead,
Is it
which
Branyard?
they're right.
I mean, like I know I know it's
Right.
spelled like that, but don't they pronounce like Branyard or something like that?
Oh, dude, I don't know, like how many, like how the correct way to say it in our version of English would be compared to theirs. But yeah, you're probably right. Because the town of Fargo is literally just where they met at the start. That's got no other significance at all, to my knowledge. So,
Finny, no technical complaints, no unsynced audio, no weird cuts for you.
yeah, that's my obliged role on the show now, isn't it? Yeah.
The cinematography was obviously good. Like the whole white kind of landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They had trouble filming because it was actually it was like the hottest days of the year where they were. I know, like they had to wait for snow and stuff.
Yeah, all the
Yeah,
snows
they
are
used a lot of
artificial, yeah.
fake snow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love the way that they shoot the snow, because I mean, like in the opening, in the opening scene, like where it's just the car and the headlights kind of like going through, like that snowstorm. It's this really like oppressive bleakness to it, and then like the way that later on, it's kind of, like when they shoot like just like the small town type of thing, it doesn't have that same way. I love the way that like snow kind of works when you're shooting it, like whether it be still or in motion, like the way you can play around with it and the way you can really manipulate it with like simple objects, like and give it like a really different meaning. And I think Deakins does it well in this film.
Definitely. And I think generally this movie, its biggest strength is how it is able to juggle in its script, particularly how well it's able to juggle silliness with tenseness and with seriousness. I think that's a great strength of it, because I feel like if you're these actors on set, and you're delivering the lines, you're doing this accent, I feel like you'd have in the back of your mind, I don't know if this is working. This is kind of strange. Is this going to really fit together in the final product? And I think it's a testament to the movie that it does really work in the final product, because I can imagine, without the greater context of the entire vision, it would seem weird just doing this one scene, in isolation, I guess. But to get back to what you're saying, Jenny, absolutely. I think the visuals kind of really contribute to that serious side of it, the tense side of it. Because I really like that opening shot too.
And even
it's that side of the movie.
Keep going, Fanny. I'm sorry.
That yeah, that counterbalances some of the silly comedy stuff that I like a lot. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think similarly, like in terms of like the same intenseness that's captured in the opening shot is like when Wade confronts Buscemi's character on the rooftop, and like the way that a light snowfall can easily be playful. It's really somber in that moment, as that like carries out. I think I just think the way it's constructed is really well. Yeah, really good.
Fargo out of 10. I'll give the movie an 8. I was tossing between a 7 and an 8, but I don't know. Yeah, having this discussion, I was left a bit hollow by the ending a little bit. All that thematic conversation we had definitely strikes a chord with me. But nonetheless, no, I think this movie is great. I think it's really unique. I think it's a great script. Really paced well. The only pacing issues I had, Jaden completely countered in a really satisfying way, so that's perfect. I definitely highly recommend everyone watch it. I think it's great. Yeah, great watch. How about you, Liam?
I'll give it a 7, very close to an 8. Yeah, it's a great. I think anyone can really enjoy it. So
Yeah,
anyone should, if you're listening, should definitely seek it out. But yeah, it's close to an 8, but it just doesn't. It kind of, as I said, I never want to rewatch it, and I don't completely know why, but I just, yeah, it doesn't have too much of an effect on me apart from being like pretty funny and entertaining. So yeah.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah, they're the two scores I'm tossing up between as well. Because it goes, like, I think I've only really sung praise for it throughout this, but it goes back to that thing I mentioned at the start about, for some reason, I just could not connect with it entirely. But I think everything else in the film kind of pulls me over to the fact that it's an 8, rather than a 7. Yeah, I'll stick with an 8. Yeah, it's an 8.
No need to split hairs, just go with your gut. I like it.
Mm.
All right. Well, Fargo, I think we recommend it. I'm just about to take my hoodie off because it's bloody warm in here now.
Take it all off.
Amazing content. Don't imagine too much of me stripping my hoodie off there, okay, guys? Amazing. All right. News chat. The Tenet saga continues. I'm so sick of this shit, man. I hope this is the last one we have to read. I mean, I don't have to read it ever again, but I guess I am. This is a pretty important one, though. I'm so over it. But Tenet will be released in 70 international territories first, including Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Korea, Russia, and the United Kingdom on August 26th, before making its way to select North American theatres on September 3rd. These plans have been interrupted so many times, this could literally go any number of ways. Who knows? So, we've tried speculating in the past. Every time it's fallen apart, Jane's been more right than me, that's for sure. So, the only other real comment I have about this is the fact that I appreciate that a new precedent has been created now, that they're willing, at least, evidently, to release in territories other than the US first. That was something that we were not... We discussed it. We didn't think that they would be willing to do something like that, but now they are. So just that fact alone, I think, is a good sign. But as for the specifics, I've got no hopes. I don't know. I'll believe it when I'm sitting in the theater watching the trailers before it.
I just think like the reason like they've decided to just release it like this now is that they couldn't afford, another release of trailers and images and posters with the new date on them. Because I think like every time they push it back, it's another who knows how many millions of dollars. So they must have just weighted it up and said, if we at least get this money in first before we get that, it'll outweigh, publishing a whole new set of posters with new dates and shit like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I get you. So, yeah, it rages on. Have you got anything to add, Fitzy?
No, not really.
Fair enough. Oh, well. I'm excited to watch it. That's all there is to it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
ASAP. What else we got? We got a new Pixar movie was announced yesterday, I think. I don't know. Very recently. Because we know they had, of course, Onward earlier this year that we watched. We've got Soul coming up, which is another original film of theirs with Jamie Foxx. This year, who knows if that actually happens anymore, but that was the idea. And then another original film. They're doing a bit of a trifecta here, which is interesting. They normally kind of historically alternate between sequels and original films, but we're getting a brigade of original films from them. And this one's called Luca. And it'll be kind of following this teenage kid in Italy for a summer, is the description we kind of got about it. It's set to release in summer of 2021. Release date's pending, I guess. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of all we know about it. Jane, you mentioned that you liked the little bit of animation that we saw from it, the little still.
Yeah, it looks pretty sick. Kind of looks I'm not sure if it was just like a low res image I saw, but it doesn't really seem like that. It seems like a bit of a different animation style. Have you seen the image? It looks different to their traditional animation, doesn't it? Yeah, and it kind of looks a bit Ghibli-esque, I guess. And it kind of looks like a cross between, the Pixar and that, and I'm keen to see that.
Yeah, no, that was really interesting. Yeah. I guess, yeah. I'm just thinking, that wasn't concept art, was it? Like, I would assume the movie looks like that, but I don't know. If it does, I agree with you 100%. Yeah. I think you're right.
I really hope it looks like that.
It seems very unique for them.
Very intense when Marnie was there type vibes coming from it.
Final story, I guess. Amy Adams is in a movie. It's called Night Bitch. which is an interesting title, and it's about the fact that she also what? Wait, what did you say, Jen? She wants to be a dog, or she thinks she's a dog?
She
One or the
thinks
other.
she turns into a she thinks she's turning into a dog.
Right, gotcha. That's amazing. I love it. That sounds like a Netflix original film, doesn't it? Really, I don't see that coming out in theaters, but hey, I'd be
It's meant,
down to watch it on Netflix.
yeah, I think it's I mean, when you take just like that synopsis from it, obviously it doesn't sound that great, but it's meant to kind of be, a dark comedy type of thing. So I mean, if Amy Adams is signing on to it, I'm expecting it to be pretty decent. Yeah, I'm keen to see it.
Yeah, This I don't know. This seems kind of different for Amy Adams, I guess. She kind of does a shitload of serious stuff, if I'm not mistaken. So branching out into all kinds of new genres.
She used to do some light stuff, Julie and Julia and Enchanted and stuff like that.
She was in that Muppets movie, wasn't she? Yeah, fair. Didn't think of that. That's all we got for news. Exciting week. Definitely. What have we been watching? I went first last week. So, who can go? Fitzy, you can go.
So there's the movie This Is England, which is on Stan, and then there's the 3 TV miniseries, 86, 88, and 90. And the movie follows Sean, 12-year-old kid in Thatcher's England of 1983. He doesn't have a dad, and it's kind of like Thatcher's England was a very troubled time because there was a lot of unemployment, and then there was a recent war that happened and stuff. So there was a lot of just civil unrest, I guess, and protests and stuff. And he basically befriends these older, friendly kind of guys that are kind of a big friendship group, a big kind of gang, and they're all right. But later on, he runs into this guy, Combo, played by Stephen Graham, and he's has very strong political views, and he's kind of racist, and he's a very troubled figure. And the movie's just kind of a coming of age, movie in that way, set in this interesting time period. But what really makes the movie great, for me at least, is just how realistic the conversations feel and the dialogue. I'm pretty sure a lot of it was at least semi-improvised, if not a majority of it. And the movie is real great. It could be a bit cliche, kind of coming of age, don't follow the dangerous path kind of thing in some regards. But what really elevates the movie again later on is the TV series, which there's an event that happens in the movie, or kind of events, which the series comes back to that later on, and that's just what the series does. It each new installment adds more consequence and meaning to their stories overall, and the characters, it follows the same characters and same actors over basically in real time, 11 years basically, because in terms of the actual actors, but 6-7 years in the story. And the characters are just so, they just so feel they feel just so genuine and real, same as the conversation and dialogue, as I mentioned. And I guess the series delves into some very heavy topics, and I think it's just a really well constructed drama, and just as a entire story, it really tells a story about forgiveness and morality in such a kind of fascinating way, in terms of one character's entire arc. And it was just so great, seeing the same characters grow and develop and adjust to these new kind of environments, because you see the time changing as well. But No, after watching This Is England '90, I just absolutely kind of fell in love with the series. I was so attached to the characters and everything. So yeah, there's a really big yeah, it was really just a great experience overall, I guess. And I recommend all of that. It's on Stan. So yeah.
That's why you like it, because it's like Boyhood.
All right. I thought you'd say something like that. Harry Potter. But yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just I like the
No.
actors, I guess. Stephen Graham, Vicky, what's her name? She was in Line of Duty, Jaden. Maybe you can. Vicky McClure, is it? Something like
Yeah.
that. They're some of them are more well-known ones. Stephen was in The Irishman, Snatch, Snatch, and another Scorsese, Gangs of New York, and the main actor Thomas Turgis, Andrew Shim, and then Joe Gilligan. I think he plays. Maybe that's his name in the series. Can't remember. But yeah, brilliant acting as well, and they just well, yeah. As I said, characters feel so real and etc. And brilliant series. Yeah,
Cool.
and what else I see? The Beach Bum, stoner comedy. It's kind of art house stoner comedy. Because it's by
Did you say stoner comedy?
Yeah.
yeah,
Is that a genre?
yeah,
Just like the Big Lebowski. And like kind of like Seth Rogen films and that shit.
That's so funny. Okay,
yeah,
I did not know that's a
Pineapple
thing.
Express and all that. But it's
Right.
it's very weird because it's directed by Harmony Korine, which he does very art house kind of stuff like Gummo and Spring Breakers, and he wrote Kids. But his films are very interesting in that they're they're very based on just the senses. They're not going for substance really. They just kind of they go for a very cinematic kind of experience and don't worry as much about. Yeah, they don't have much of a plot, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And they're very visually interesting usually. But
Interesting. Okay, that's cool.
yeah. What else? I'll do one more. Primer, which was made. It's a time travel kind of movie, and it was made for $7,000. The budget, and it's amazing how just how good this film is for $7,000, and how it's very confusing. Kind of, there's lots of it's a time travel movie, but it doesn't hold your hand, so it kind of leaves you completely, it leaves you pretty confused by the last, especially the last 20 minutes. But because there's a lot of which version of this character is here and which one, which one is he talking to and all this. But the overall experience is very kind of paranoid because of that. Very paranoid, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, for $7,000, it's amazing, especially because you can't really feel the budget in for most scenes. It doesn't expose the budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's always the most important thing when you've got a low budget. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially because they just have the two characters, and one of the actors is the director who also produced and edited it and did everything basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm done.
Take a deep breath. You want to go, Jaden?
I want to quickly ask, talking about small budgets and not exposing the budget. Do you reckon that Following does? Because that was made on £3,000. So do you reckon that do you reckon that seems kind of cheap, or do you reckon that hides it well?
No, yeah, no. I think the movie That's a difficult question, actually. I think the movie does a pretty good job. From recollection, I don't know if I know it that well, but I think the movie did a pretty good job of that. Um, I know, like, I believe Nolan has said a few times, like in quotes and shit, he's kind of talked about um, his approach on that film and how explicitly the use of the hammer, and how, I guess in any other film you'd use a gun in that instance in that movie, but the importance of when you've got a low budget using what makes sense, using props and story moments that make sense within the story, but then also don't expose the budget. And I think, if you try to use a gun in that moment, obviously it would look terrible. So that would expose the budget. So yeah, examples like that, he's obviously very conscious of the budget. Yeah, from memory, I don't really explicitly remember any shortcomings with that. No.
Coolio. Right. So what did I watch this week?
Oh, do you not feel the same way? Or?
Oh no, I was just curious to hear your opinion. I wasn't really. I wasn't gonna. No, I do. I think from memory, I think the score. I don't know why, but like the score feels cheap. Because it kind of feels like the same thing gets repeated over and over, as if they couldn't produce more of it, or they didn't have the abilities to produce more of it. I think like that's like one of the most glaring things to me that kind of shows it's low budget. But like I think the rest of it's all pretty chill. I think it's all pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Righto. So this week I watched Intruders. I know, shitty 2011 horror. I say shitty, but I gave it a 6 stars. 6 stars, 6 out of 10.
Yeah,
it was pretty good. It had Clive Owen and Carissa Van Houten. I don't know. Melisandre from Game of Thrones, and it was pretty good. I mean, it's pretty engaging. I guess. I mean, I was never bored by it, and I think reviews for it were really low, so I kind of went in expecting like some really shitty stuff, but like it was okay. And the twist was pretty satisfying, and it made sense, and it was never like it wasn't like they plucked it out of nowhere. Like it was clued to throughout, and like it got a bit obvious at some points, but I thought it was pretty good. I watched Popstar Never Stopping, which is Andy Samberg. It's a Lonely Island production. It's so funny. It is just like one of the like it's really really great, and like the comedy is like so. I mean, it's so obviously like Andy Samberg and like that production, like like when you like watch their other films, like their short stuff, you kind of get what it is. And I mean, the film's only 84 minutes. It's kind of like what I was talking about a few weeks ago with 7 Days in Hell, where like they get in there, they tell their jokes, tell their story, and then they just get out, and it breezes by, and it's just brilliant. I watched The Invisible Man as well, and I had no intention of watching this film at all. I just thought it was going to be another shitty remake of a classic horror classic horror film. But then you mentioned it recently, and like I've only ever really seen positive stuff for it. And I was really like pleasantly surprised by it. Like I thought it was like quite good, and like I hadn't seen much about it. I thought I think I'd probably seen like 10 seconds of like a TV spot and stuff, and I thought I felt like it was going to be pretty standard as to like what happens and how shit unfolds. But there's a good bit of it fucks you around a bit, flicks you this way and that way, and yeah. Do you like the ending, Finny?
Yeah, I do. I like. It doesn't. It's not an ending that resonates with me at all. As a 19-year-old, dude. So it doesn't resonate with me in that way. But it totally is going for something very specific, and I appreciate it doing that. And I think it would be more effective for other people.
Right. Yeah, because I didn't love it, because I kind of felt without really. I don't really want to talk about what happens or like what happens throughout the film, because it kind of spoils it. But like, I kind of feel like the actions at the end kind of undo some of the stuff done at the beginning. Do you get what I mean? Or like just throughout the film, because I feel like her doing what she did kind of. I don't know. We can chat another time about it. And
right. Yeah, we can. Yeah. I'm interested though.
And then I watched Doctor Who Series 12, which I caught up on. I thought it was fine until the last episode. The final episode of that season retcons 57 years of television history, and Doctor Who isn't exactly it's no stranger to retconning shit. I mean, like they've done it like for the past 15 years now in New Who, where like we're told this planet doesn't exist, these people came back, this is that, and whatever, and like that's all calm because like it's the way they undertake it. It's all valid and it's all they do so in a satisfying way, especially with the 50-year anniversary where everything is like the big thing that had been building over this course of the new Doctor Who series. The way that they explain it all in the anniversary is really great. So retconning and Doctor Who kind of goes, they kind of go hand in hand. But what they did this season, they built an interesting story on this idea of like the timeless child and like the origin of the Time Lords or whatever. But then like the way they resolve it at the end, it kind of diminishes one of the key points of Doctor Who in the fact that like the Doctor isn't really like, obviously they're special because they're an alien, but they're just they're no more special than that. I mean, and in a TV show full of aliens, it's not really that unique. But then like they kind of change that, and like it's a really annoying thing, and like the way the season's written isn't satisfying at all, and like every episode that kind of begins promising, it ends up just more of the same shit of like thinly veiled criticisms of the current socio-political environment just getting shoved in your throat. I mean, like there's an episode where like it sets up this really interesting mystery about like these unique events occurring all over the world, and it just turns out that the people are being poisoned by plastic, and it's like, oh, plastic's bad, fuck off, like we know that. And like it's just shit like that,
right.
and like it kind of diminishes it. I mean, look, Doctor Who's never been known for having superior writing or anything, but like this season just felt like it was a bit weaker. And the thing is, like the primary writer, Chris Chibnall, he's written for Doctor Who in the past, and like he's written like really solid episodes. So I'm not really sure why now, when he's taken over, it's kind of gone down. But I think as a whole, like production wise, the series has gone up, in especially with Jodie Whittaker coming in, like cinematography and like music wise. I think like the score for this season was really great, and like costume, and like you can tell there's now at least a bit of a budget. So like that version has all gone up in recent years, but because the writing has tanked a bit, it kind of it made this this previous season really not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
That's me done. I can probably go on more, but I don't really want to exhaust anyone else with my Doctor Who rant.
So good. I finished Ozark. Took me the longest time to finish a season of TV ever. But Ozark season 3 wrapped up. Really liked it. Ozark's just a great show in general. Direction's so good. Jason Bateman is so good. Laura Linney, I think Laura Linney, whatever her name is, she's awesome too. Just a great cast, great show. Really enjoy it. I think there are some small little quirks with it that really hold it back from being a top tier show for me. Mainly, the show has always, in my opinion, throughout all 3 seasons, not handled its kid characters very well. Like there are a handful of teenage characters, and they're always just a bit dumber than they should be. And they make choices that seem very trying to drive the plot forward, and it's kind of frustrating. There's multiple like moments where I audibly go, and family watch it with audibly go like, really? Would you do that? Like, but also kids dumb, so that's a solid counter argument too. Who knows? But a couple little things like that really hold it back from being a top tier show. But I think it's a great show. Highly recommend it. Really enjoyed it. And I watched Birdman last night. I was going to watch Snatch, but I was so disappointed. It had been on Stan for the longest time, dude, and now it's not on Stan anymore, and I was really bummed about it. So I'm like, oh shit, well, all right. Snatch is out. I'm watching Birdman instead. I loved it. Thought it was awesome. All the performances, as someone who, it feels weird to still be talking about the whole, one take thing as a unique element to a film, but I'd only ever seen it in 1917, and this is such a, obviously, it's the same technique, it's the same thing they're doing, literally, but because it's such a different story and such a different setting and everything, such a different tone, it really has a different effect in a weird way than that movie does. It's funny how the same technique can have differing effects like that. But no, I loved it, and the characters are awesome. The character growth is awesome, just on a surface level. But the movie also had a really interesting effect on me, where I kind of took it as a bit of in a broader sense. It really resonated with me as a bit of an analog for life, in a really powerful way, in a way that I wished that the Tree of Life did for me. I know you love the Tree of Life, Fitzy. I thought it was a decent enough movie, but I think the effect that I wish that movie had for me, this movie had for me. And it's funny how, because the Tree of Life is so broad and abstract, and how specific Birdman is in its story, how that actually kind of achieved a broader sense thematically. So I thought that was interesting.
What do
But
you
yeah,
mean
loved it.
exactly there? Like, what
What
do
did you
you
say? Sorry,
what do
Fitzy?
you mean exactly by analogy for life or whatever?
Well, I think the Tree of Life, what I kind of wanted to, it's such an abstract movie that everyone can kind of take whatever they want from it, but I kind of felt a little bit like a sense of that this is just a interesting kind of trying to provide an objective, larger perspective of the human experience, I guess, of life itself for what it's like, and it does that with its non-linear editing and its crazy inclusion of random space shots and shit. And it kind of worked for me a little bit, but Birdman does it in obviously a much tighter way, just focusing on this New York stage show. Everything that Michael Keaton's character goes through and his life experiences up until that point, and his relationships, and the way it all builds to the climax, and so many poignant moments throughout and dialogue pieces. It kind of interestingly had that sort of effect for me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but like,
But yeah,
what? I'm just trying to understand, like, what effect do you mean exactly? Like it kind of was an analogy for the whole human experience or something like that.
sure.
Is that what
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I took that from the movie. There's a lot of stuff about personal growth and um yeah, and the human experience. I feel weird saying the human experience. It sounds a bit broad, but I guess that that I took from the movie, that interestingly, and just the progression of life, I guess. Sounding really philosophical, but that's fine. That really resonated with me as a young person, and I can only imagine, you know, I would assume it would resonate with people the older they are. So that's kind of what I took from it, I guess, is what you described. But yeah, loved it. But that's all I got. So now it is time to get into our question of the show. Last week we asked you a very simple question, a great question. What's your favourite TV show of all time? And we got some long answers, but that's great. Henry wrote in and said, oh, sorry, I need to take a deep breath, Jesus. I think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson is probably my favourite TV series of all time, which is surprising to me because I only saw it this year. But it was genuinely one of the funniest I've watched. One of the funniest things I've watched, so it cemented its position as my favourite series surprisingly easily, which is interesting. It's on Netflix. Watch it immediately, please. Listen to Henry's beck and call on that one. However, this is excluding, it's always this time of the show where I fall apart, isn't it? Anime. So my actual favourite series of all time is Neon Genesis Evangelion. Oh, I think I got it. Which I could write an entire thesis on just how fantastic it truly is. Also on Netflix. Watch it immediately, please. I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson is probably my... Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. I copy and pasted Henry's message twice, so I was about to read it again. It actually wasn't as long as I thought it was. Literally twice in a row. Wow, I'm so dumb. That's all of Henry's message. Thank you, Henry, for writing in. Oh my god. Okay. Luke wrote in and said, such a difficult question. I've enjoyed so many TV series over the years. I've probably watched more TV series than I have movies. Interesting. I'll give shout outs to satisfy my own mind. Here we go. Merlin, Suits, Game of Thrones, The Flash. But my favourite, drum roll please, Fitzy.
God, that was
You
shit.
did it, Luke. It worked. Arrow. Long-time fan through all 8 seasons. I'm self-aware enough to acknowledge the weaker seasons. But all in all, a great show and loved looking forward to episodes Wednesday nights. Certainly a motivation going through school. Cool. Theme song's a banger. Not as good as Game of Thrones. I mean, what is though? And characters are great. Fight scenes were well choreographed, very well. Jesus Christ, dude. Were choreographed very well, and I didn't mind. This is falling apart. Fight scenes were choreographed very well, and I didn't mind the ship of Oliver and Felicity. I actually enjoyed it. I nailed it. There you go. So thank you for your submissions, guys. I've never heard of that show that Henry mentioned. I assume it's new this year if you just watched it this year. So that's cool. That's cool. And of course, we refuse to acknowledge any anime on this show, so I will not acknowledge that other one. But Arrow.
Wow.
I'm only joking.
I can't believe he made me do a drum roll for a CW show. That's just rude.
Is it?
I don't know what to say about that.
I guess so, yeah. Well, there you go. He chose Arrow. How offended are you by that, Fitzy? Very?
No, I have never seen her, but
No, neither have I. I got no idea.
looks fun, I guess.
I just like making fun of the budget. That's really all I know.
Yeah.
But what's your favourite TV series of all time, Liam?
I want to say This Is England, but I just saw it like this week, so it's kind of strange.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
So I'll just say The Sopranos, because it's a pretty good TV show. It's got a lot of when they pick up the gun and then the guy is running away from the gun and shoots him, and then he shoots him back, and I really like that scene. But yeah, what about you?
One scene in 7 seasons.
Amazing.
No,
Amazing.
no, I'm joking.
Yeah, I know. Great chat though.
No, it's just I don't know. It's amazing. It's
It is amazing. Yes, it is.
very
It's truly amazing.
There's no weak episode or season really. Every episode
No.
is well written, and they constantly find new stuff to tackle. In terms of everything, just I don't know.
And good Steve Buscemi connection. Oh.
Yeah, couldn't praise it enough, I guess. What about you?
What about you, Jaden? Sopranos up there for you, of course.
Nah, I've only seen one season of Sopranos and it wasn't that great.
Oh.
Yeah.
I need to that.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something I should have thought about it more because I'm struggling with it now. If Spooky got to give some shouts, I'm going to give some shouts as well.
Go for it.
I think Haunting of Hill House is really brilliant. Line of Duty, which was mentioned briefly before in this episode, is absolutely fantastic. Like the best police procedural show I've ever seen. It's Finny. Actually, we already talked about it. I guess if you've seen Bodyguard, you'll love Line of Duty. So yeah, get around that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The End of the Fucking World is brilliant. Like I think season 1 was pretty good, and I really enjoyed it. And like it's really funny, and it's just a really like genuinely good show, and like it's way more emotional than I thought it would be. But then season 2, it introduces like this dramatic element that was kind of missing from the first season. And while season 2 is not as funny, it's way more dramatic and it's way better in my opinion. And like that, like season 2 of that show is like the best show I've ever seen. But for my favorite show, I'm going to have to go with another show that was previously mentioned in this episode, which is Legion. And
yes,
I'm not sure if it actually is my favorite show, but like it's when I think about shows like in terms of like shit that's memorable and that's good and interesting and that I actually like really enjoy, I think like that's what comes to mind first. I think that what Noah Hawley did with adapting, a superhero story and then not making it, your generic, villain of the week type thing, and actually giving it, well written, good drama, nice characters, but then still being able to tie it all back into, its history in the comic books. And I think that in terms of creativity, it's the most creative show I've seen. Just in terms of like the way that, because it is a superhero show as well, and like its origins and that, and like the fact that Noah Hall, like it allows for ideas it allows for them to do shit that you wouldn't usually be able to do. It's like there's you have singing mice and a Clockwork Orange parody and shit like that, but it all just works so brilliantly, tied up within this thing. And yeah, I think it's brilliant. I think Jeff Russo does the score as well, and the score is absolutely superb. And yeah, I think everything about that show is just flawless, really.
Awesome.
It's pretty great.
Is it better, of course, than X-Men: The Last Stand?
Why would you say that? The Last Stand is...
They're both X-Men things.
Well,
So that's why I'm asking.
Is better than Legion, but we all know that X-Men Origins of Wolverine is better than that as well. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the ranking. Origins, Last Stand, ...
Legion. Yeah.
Legion. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, my favourite TV show, I love TV shows. TV series, they're just kind of better than movies, aren't they? Let's just change the podcast. But Black Sails is a recent one of mine. Love that show. Game of Thrones, Sopranos, all top tier shit. But Breaking Bad, obviously, perfect show. Wouldn't change a thing about it. Amazing. Best performances ever. Best drama ever. Best direction ever. What'd you say, Jaden?
They said Better Call Saul's better.
I don't believe I ever said that.
No, I swear you said that once.
No, it's not. I think I said I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I said on an earlier episode of this show that one of the episodes rivaled some of the best of Breaking Bad, I think.
I think you might have said the writing is better on Better Call Saul. You said Breaking Bad was better overall or something.
I don't know, I might have said something like that. I don't know what I say, but I'm a rambling moron. But Better Call Saul is also amazing. But, it's not finished, so I don't want to speak too much to it. So, Breaking Bad, perfect show. If you're a human being that lives on planet Earth, what are you doing? Watch it. It's as simple as that. It's universal. All right. That's all we got for Cinema Effect this week. Thank you for listening to our ramblings and our recommendations of our favourite shows. Every show that we just recommended, make sure you watch them all within the next 2 weeks and get back to us on which one was your favourite. Totally reasonable request.
Should we, when are we gonna, tell them about the TV show that we might do? Or that we are doing?
We'll do it right now. Thank you for reminding me.
Cool.
We have super secrets, crazy secrets that we're keeping from our huge viewership. So we'll let you know now that we're planning on watching Twin Peaks Season 1 in the middle of September. So, so that's still, from the time we're recording this, that's still 6 weeks away. So we're just giving you the warning. If you were at all interested in watching Twin Peaks Season 1, if you were perhaps thinking for quite some time you wanted to get into that show, now's the time. This is the motivation you need. So press on. If you're interested, you can do that. That's what we're planning on doing in 6 weeks' time. But Fitzy, that's so far away. What are we doing next week?
Next week we are doing a little tortellini, a little Tarantino movie called The Hateful Eight.
Is it bad that you're wrong?
Oh no. Is it Hunger?
We're doing Hunger.
What? I swear you said Hateful Eight first.
I promise you that I write down the order, and then the order I read it to you in that time is exactly what's still written here on my phone.
Okay. Well,
hang on, I'll triple check to make sure I'm not the idiot. Just to make sure. I've got Hunger first.
Well,
we can do Hateful Eight first if you want. We can still change it right now. It's not over until we announce it. It's up to you.
Yeah, let's change it right now so Fitzy doesn't look a dick.
We can do that.
Yeah, Zach was wrong all along. Anyway, so yeah, we're doing the Hateful Eight next week, and Zach can, shove it.
I just want everyone to know that I was right. But screw it. You know what? Fitzy's word is law. We're doing the Hateful Eight next week now.
It's the first
executive decisions.
Tarantino film we're doing. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
That's
correct.
Yeah.
I guess we're not really film bros if we waited 22 episodes to do it.
That's
maybe
true.
Not. Yeah. Thank you guys very much for joining me this week on Cinema Effect. Appreciate your time.
Follow the Instagram page. I'm just going to say that now because it's usually neglected.
Dude, I said, you've done that before, and I've said, oh yeah, I'll remember. I'll write that down. But I've kind of got it basically as just social media links here. Hang on, I've got I'm writing it right down now. I've got to shout out the Instagram page every time. Yeah, absolutely. Good shout. Follow the Instagram page like Aiden said. Perfect. All right, I'll do that more. Okay. Follow the Instagram page, subscribe everywhere, do all that shit. We appreciate you listening, and we'll see you all next week. Have a great rest of your week, and goodbye.